So, what do you think of that video? I think it is clear how fundamental it is to make sure that efforts are in place to drive employee engagement. So at Marriott International, which is the company where I worked, we measure guest or customer satisfaction through a tool that we call Guest Satisfaction Survey. Which is that? It's a survey that we send to our guests upon checkout to ask them how well we did on meeting their expectations based on what they experienced while they were staying at any of our hotels globally. We firmly believe that our guest satisfaction scores are not going to be high if we first don't ensure that our employees are highly satisfied and engaged with the environment and conditions that we provide to them. We have different formal and informal ways to measure employee engagement. And one of the formal ways is what I mentioned in the previous video, which we call employee engagement survey. So, what happens when employees are not engaged? One of the most costly consequences could be turnover. Many organizations have found that turnover is a costly problem. The extent to which employers face high turnover rates and cost varies by organization and industry as well. For example, the Society for Human Resources Management calculates that the average for all industries is 15% annual turnover. High turnover rates have negative impacts on several dimensions of organizational performance, especially safety, productivity, and financial performance. So involuntary turnover is when employees are terminated for poor performance or work rules violations or through layoffs. If you practice the human resources profession in California or states that are as pro-employee as California, make sure that you become familiar with the labor laws or consult with your legal department before making a final determination on involuntary termination of employment so you can avoid litigation. Voluntary turnover happens when an employee leaves by choice. Involuntary turnover is triggered at all levels by employers terminating workers due to organizational policies and work rule violations, excessive absenteeism, performance standards that are not met by employees, and some other issues. Voluntary turnover too can be caused by many factors, some of which are not employer controlled. Common voluntary turnover causes may include job dissatisfaction, pay and benefit levels, supervision, geography, and personal and family reasons. Functional turnover happens when lower performing or disruptive employees leave. And dysfunctional turnover is when key individuals and high performers leave at critical times. So, not all turnover is negative for organizations. On the contrary, functional turnover represents a positive change. Some workforce losses are desirable, especially if those who leave are lower performing, less reliable, and or disruptive individuals. So, let me ask you something. Do you know what is the turnover rate at the company where you work and the reasons that are causing such turnover? If not, this could be a great opportunity for you to research that with your human resources department. In fact, part of that is what you need to do this week to be able to participate on this week's discussion board. So more details to come on that. The US Department of Labor estimates that the cost of replacing an employee ranges from 1/2 to 5 times the person's annual income. Very high, right? So the turnover rate for an organization can be computed as a monthly or yearly cost. Common turnover rates range from almost 0% to more than 100% a year and vary amongst industries. So, separation cost, human resources staff and supervisory time, pay rates to prevent separations, exit interview time, unemployment expenses, legal fees for separation, accrue vacation expenses, continued health benefits, and others could be part of this separation cost. Vacancy cost could include temporary help, contract and consulting firm usage, existing employee overtime, and other costs until the person is replaced. Part of this cost will also include replacement cost. recruiting and advertising expenses, search fees, human resources interviewer and staff time and salaries, employee referral fees, relocation and moving cost. There's also training cost for the new person, paid orientation time, training staff time and pay, cost of training materials, supervisor and manager time and salaries, co-worker coaching, time and pay, etc. And there's also hidden or indirect cost, which are costs that are not obvious all the time, such as reduced productivity, decreased customer service, additional unexpected employee turnover, missed project deadlines, etc. This week, you will get an opportunity to practice this by completing a turnover cost calculation. So after you are done watching all videos for this week, go to the turnover calculation assignment on Blackboard and complete the exercise. To control turnover, human resources professionals need to understand the reasons why people is leaving the company. In one sense, retention is the opposite of turnover. However, the reasons keep people choose to stay with an employer may not be the opposite of those that compel others to quit. Retaining top talent is a concern for many employers, and understanding retention is the beginning of keeping more of those top performers. Efforts on work relationships, rewards, training, etc. need to be in place in order to retain top talent. Pause for a moment here and review the Retention Possibilities Program PDF document, which is attached on this week's content, to have an idea on some ways of reducing turnover and increase retention. So, take care of that now. Go and review that document, and when you are done, continue. Now let's review some additional concepts. Job design. This one receives attention for three major reasons. Job design can influence performance in certain jobs, especially those where employee motivation can make a substantial difference. Job design can affect job satisfaction, since people are more satisfied with certain job elements than others. Identifying what makes a good job becomes critical. Reduced turnover and absenteeism also can be linked to effective job design. Job design can impact both physical and mental health. Problems that may require assistance, such as hearing loss, backache, etc., sometimes can be traced directly to job design. The person-job fit is a simple but important concept of matching characteristics of people with characteristics of jobs. If a person does not fit a job, either the person can be changed or replaced, or the job can be redesigned. Different people will consider some jobs good and others bad. As a result, different people will best fit different kinds of work. So, how do you know someone is a good fit for your team or your organization? Very important question. And to reflect on that question, please go to video 4 for this week, which is a TED Talk titled, "Why the Best Hire Might Not Have the Perfect Resume." Very interesting approach. When you finish watching that video, you can click on video 5 to continue.